Hey there, island dreamers, locals, and anyone craving a slice of paradise. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to the Fun and Key West podcast, where the vibe is always laid back, the stories are salty, and the drinks, well, they're definitely frozen. I'm your host, Michele O'Connor, your unofficial tour guide to the Conquered Republic. Whether you're planning your first trip, your fifth trip, or you're just daydreaming about trading the cubicle for the ocean breeze, you are in the right place. Here's the deal. This podcast is your insider's guide to all things Key West. We're talking where to eat, hello, conch fritters and key lime pie, where to drink, spoiler alert, there will be rum, where to stay, and all the quirky, wonderful things that make Key West the one-of-a-kind paradise we all love. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest happenings, festivals, events, maybe even the occasional Hemingway lookalike sighting. And just to keep things spicy, we'll be bringing on some amazing guests now and then, locals, business owners, and people who know the island like the back of their sandy hand. So grab your flip-flops, pour yourself a cold one, and let's escape to the island state of mind together, whether you're tuning in from your hammock or your commute, while wishing it was a hammock. We've got all the Key West goodness coming your way. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a lot of fun in Key West. Let's dive in. Welcome, my friend. Today, we are diving into the world of mocktails, because who says you need alcohol to have a good time? Whether you're fresh off sober October, gearing up for dry January, or just looking to shake things up with some healthier, low-carb options, this episode is for you. We're talking guilt-free indulgence, vibrant flavors, all the tips you need to craft the perfect mocktail. So grab your favorite glass, maybe a lime wedge, and let's get mixing. Well, hello. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Thirsty Thursday. And I thought we would continue our mocktail series because, we're starting to get in towards the end of the year. And some people are thinking about dry January. Maybe you just finished sober October, or you're heading into sober November. Whatever you are doing, or if you just want to take a break or try something a little different because you just want to go explore so many more things when you're in Key West or out on vacation or at home. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to start exploring some of these mocktails myself. And so if you are trying to get a little more healthy, obviously limiting your alcohol intake is one of those things. Another thing, and I hate to say this, but as we start to age, well, maybe it's just for me. I'm going to speak for myself. Carbs are sometimes not my friends. Now, that means my white bread toast with peanut butter in the morning is probably not my go-to breakfast anymore. So I'm a little more aware. I'm not one of those low-carb keto diet people. I did it for a while, but I found that I got bored with the diet, and maybe it was just me. But now I get my carbs from more the complex areas. But what I found when I was exploring that diet was there are some really good low-carb drinks that you can have. And then I got to thinking, well, let's see if we could make them non-alcoholic or a mocktail and still be low-carb. So if you're watching me live, be sure to say hello so I can do a shout out. And I'm going to include a bunch of recipes in the blog post that I'm going to link to the show notes. So stick with me. You don't have to write anything down. I'm going to just walk through the basics of the taste and the flavor profiles and what we can look at to recreate some of those really fun drinks. So if you are on one of those diets, be it a keto or low carb or Atkins or anything like that, basically what you're trying to do is limit the amount of carbs that you have, because carbs, depending on what kind of carb they are, will spike your sugar. And so they do all kinds of funky things with your body. And if you're sticking to a lower carb diet or a keto diet, you're also limiting the amount of sugar that you have in your diet. And again, this sugar content, depending on where this comes from, can spike your blood sugar levels. It's all about in these diets of staying where your blood sugar levels are even and you don't have all these spikes. But we know that some of our favorite drinks that we drink when we're on vacation or in Key West are very carb-rich culprits. They're full of sugars, but they are so yummy, and we know that. They're loaded with sodas. They have syrups and juices because fruit juices, even though they sound healthy, we know now later on in life that, we want to limit those. But a low-carb mocktail is a guilt-free way to indulge, and you don't have those blood sugar crashes. And, you're going to feel really good in the morning. You're going to be able to get up in the morning and go for that long walk or enjoy sunrise and not have the hangover or the headache. And again, like I said, all of these tie into the idea of dry January, sober October, and just this whole, we're coming into where people are just starting to go away from drinking alcoholic beverages all the time and enjoying a mocktail. And I'm all about enjoying and latching on to some of these trends, especially if it's a healthy trend. And so I'm always saying you don't need alcohol consumption to have a good time. Sometimes a lime wedge and a fancy glass does the trick. So whatever it does, let's dive into what's the secret to a great mocktail. Every cocktail, every drink, I think, need a basic understanding of the balance of all of your components. You have to have that balance of sweet and sour and fizzy and just a balance. For sweetness, you're going to want to use your keto-friendly sweeteners like monk fruit or stevia. You're going to want to stay away from those artificial sugars. They don't taste right, and we're learning more and more that you probably shouldn't consume a lot of those. You can make your own sugar-free syrup, and I'll figure out how to put that in the recipe for you, and that'll go in the blog post. For your sours, obviously, you're going to use fresh lime juice or lemon juice, and that's going to give your tang. You could even experiment with some grapefruit juice because I think that also brings a really nice round sour taste. For your fizz component, because a lot of cocktails, I think, need that fizz. You're going to use club soda or soda water or a diet ginger beer, but stay away from any that have the aspartame in it. So your diet tonic water has aspartame in it. That's why it's got that funky taste sometimes. You're going to want to garnish your cocktails with something. Again, we talk about you're going to smell that, cocktail before you consume that cocktail. Think mint leaves, fresh strawberries, a lime wedge, fresh raspberries. Make it pretty. And then we're going to talk about presentation. Presentation is everything. A low sugar mocktail looks just as fun with a cocktail umbrella and crushed ice as a cocktail full of alcohol. Put it in a pretty glass, do all of that. There are different ways to enjoy traditional cocktails without the alcohol and the lower carb versions. You can do a mojito. So you would have your mint, some fresh squeezed lime juice, some soda water, and a little bit of sugar-free sweetener. There is a low-carb, guilt-free mojito. You can do a Moscow Mule. Again, you'd have your fresh lime juice, some diet ginger beer, a splash of alternative non-alcoholic rum. I like the Ritual Zero Proof. I think it has a really robust flavor and gives you the profile that you're looking for without the alcohol. You can do a non-alcoholic margarita, and this would be on the rocks. So you could do lemon juice and simple syrup and a little bit of lime juice, I think, to balance out that lemon, and do a salted rim, and then do a splash of maybe some club soda or soda water. I do like I said, the Ritual Zero Proof liquors. They have the rum, they have the tequila. And what's interesting about the tequila version is a little more smoky flavored. So if you like more of your tequila to be a little aged, a little more smoky, you're really going to love how that flavor profile comes in. For the Ritual Gin, it's very botanical. So if you do a gin and tonic a lot, you can do gin and club soda and with that Ritual, and you're not really going to miss the botanicals. To stock up so that you're all ready and prepared to have everything you need to build your own low-carb drink bar, you're going to want to have a few main ingredients. You're going to want to have fresh fruits, berries, and cucumber, and they're for the flavor, not necessarily the sweetness. You're going to have fresh herbs. Think mint, basil, rosemary. Adding those to maybe the margarita or to a gin with the 0 proof, I think is going to be really amazing on that flavor profile. Make sure you have some of those keto and low carb friendly mixers, club soda, diet soda, unsweetened coconut milk. Think about how that brings that flavor, that profile to what you're doing. And try non-alcoholic beers or non-alcoholic wines. I have tried a lot of non-alcoholic beers, and I have to say, they taste very similar to the profile of the beer it's trying to mimic. I am struggling because I am a Pinot Grigio girl. I am struggling to find a non-alcoholic wine that doesn't have a flavor profile of a fancy apple juice. And if you've tried non-alcoholic wines, I think you know where I'm going. Wine itself has a bite and a taste to it that I don't know if you can recreate by removing the alcohol. But if you know of a non-alcoholic wine that you absolutely adore, let me know. Put it in the comments, DM me, whatever. Say, Michele, this is the one you need to try. And Tim Bowman saying, good morning. Good morning, Tim. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping in. Other things that you're going to want to have on hand is a muddler. That's that thing that swooshes things, your mint leaves for a mojito. Here's a tip. Don't swoosh them so much that you don't know what they are. You just want to swoosh them a little bit so that they release those oils, and those oils go into the drink. You don't want to make them unrecognizable like a pesto. Now, just smush them just enough to release those oils. You're going to want a wooden spoon probably to do a little bit of stirring. A cocktail shaker. I love the cocktail shakers that are stainless because I think it gets everything colder, but that's just probably me. And I think you need pretty glasses, hurricane glasses, tiki glasses. We talked about that in the tiki episode, but I think presentation always matters. And be sure to look at your labels. Sometimes you think something has this much sugar and it actually has that much sugar. So make sure you check out the sugar content. I think the biggest thing is, even though you're having a mocktail, and I have met a lot of people who have chosen to not drink. And they said the first thing that they had to wrap their head around was they could still have a good time, even though they weren't having a cocktail. And bars and restaurants and home parties are now more accepting, I think, of the mocktail trend. And you have a lot more people who are saying, hey, this is the lifestyle that I'm choosing, or I am the designated driver and I want to partake and do all of that. And I think sipping a delicious mocktail allows people to have that experience, be part of it, and not feel like they're stuck in the corner drinking water or a diet drink. I think it allows them to partake and lets you experiment with flavors and try so many more because there's no alcohol. It's that mindset. So you're creating a fun ritual. Maybe you have mocktail hour on the porch before you go for your evening walk, or you're sitting by the pool and your afternoon has mocktails, and then you save yourself and have a very nice cocktail at dinner. You can, if you're part of our Fun in Key West book club and you are part of our VIP club, which is the paid version, you get a digital magazine every month. In it, I include a Spotify playlist that matches the theme of our book we're reading. And maybe you pair that Spotify playlist with a mocktail as you're listening. All great ways to do this. I'm going to put lots of recipes, like I said, down into the blog post that will be linked below. But whether it's a classic mojito or your own creation, I think the goal is to enjoy the moment and not needing the alcohol or the alcohol content. A good drink is all about flavor and fun and feeling great the next day and the company that you're spending time with. So I'm going to invite you to head over to, speaking of company, be part of our community by you guys showing up and watching me live in the mornings and listening to our podcast. You are part of our community, but head over to FunInKeyWest.com, sign up for our newsletter, and you sign up for our newsletter by grabbing our happy hour list. And that gets you in the know of what's happening with Fun in Key West. And that gets you in the know what's happening in Key West. As well as sign up for our book club. We get a new book every month that has some sort of Key West connection. The book may not always be set in Key West, but there will be a Key West connection. And if you want something a little extra, be sure to sign up and opt in for our VIP club. It's just $5 a month. It's less than a fancy cup of coffee. And you can get that digital magazine, plus so much more. You get to help choose books. You get to do all kinds of fun things as part of that community. There's so many ways to connect and be part of this fun community that we're building. And I just am so grateful and thankful that you guys show up every morning and say hello and reach out and email me and DM me and have all your questions. And thank you so much for all your support. I am Michele with Fun in Key West. And you guys have a great Thursday. Be sure to let me know what your favorite cocktail is that you've now converted into a mocktail. For whatever reason, maybe, you just wanted to try it and see if you could do it. Let me know. And if you know of a really good non-alcoholic wine, especially on the Pinot Grigio side, let me know. I'm always open to try something. You guys have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Well, I hope you're feeling inspired to shake up your drink game with some delicious low-carb mocktails. Remember, it's all about the flavor, the fun, and feeling fantastic the next day. Don't forget to check out the blog post linked in the show notes for all the recipes and tips we talked about today. And hey, if you've got a favorite cocktail turned mocktail or a non-alcoholic wine recommendation, especially Pinot Grigio, help me out here. Send it my way. In the meantime, head over to FunInKeyWest.com, sign up for the newsletter, and let's keep the good vibes going. Until next time, wishing you a fabulous day. Cheers to mocktails and making every moment count.